I never planned on becoming someone's anchor. My life had always been predictable, carefully arranged like the books on the shelves of my quiet suburban home in Ohio. I was 36, working as a community librarian, living alone with a peaceful routine that suited me well. My days were filled with whispered conversations, the smell of paper and ink, and the comforting knowledge that every book returned eventually found its place again. Then life did what it does best. It interrupted. After my husband Daniel passed away unexpectedly, I found myself standing in a silence that no amount of routine could fill. Along with grief came responsibility I hadn't anticipated. Daniel had a young son named Ethan from earlier in his life. Ethan was 12 at the time, quiet, observant, and carrying a weight no child should have to bear. When Ethan came to live with me, there was no dramatic conversation, no long speeches about the future. Just a small suitcase, a hesitant smile, and eyes that watched everything carefully, as if the world had already taught him not to expect too much. At first, we lived alongside each other like polite strangers. I made breakfast. He ate quietly. I asked about school. He answered respectfully but briefly. At night, I would hear his door close softly, always careful not to make noise, as if he didn't want to take up space. Weeks passed like that, then months. I told myself I was doing fine. Providing stability, a roof, meals, school supplies. What I didn't realize was that Ethan wasn't looking for perfection. He was looking for connection. The moment that changed everything came on an ordinary Tuesday evening. I was folding laundry in the living room when Ethan stood in the doorway, holding a worn notebook to his chest. He hesitated before speaking. "Can I ask you something?" he said. I smiled, expecting a question about homework or dinner. "Of course." He took a breath, steadying himself. "Would you come to my school presentation tomorrow?" The question was simple. The way he asked it was not. There was something in his voice. Hope mixed with fear, as if he was already preparing himself for disappointment. "I'd love to," I said immediately. He nodded, but didn't smile. "You don't have to stay the whole time," he added quickly. "I know you're busy." I put the laundry down and looked at him. "Ethan, I'll be there." The whole time. That was the first time I saw his shoulders relax. The next day, I sat in a small auditorium filled with parents and guardians, all chatting loudly. Ethan stood on stage with a group of students, his hands shaking slightly as he read from his notes. He searched the crowd, and when his eyes found mine, I nodded and smiled. He smiled back. It wasn't a big moment for anyone else. No applause louder than usual. No awards. But something shifted inside me. That night, Ethan left the notebook on the kitchen table before going to bed. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it. Inside were pages filled with thoughts he had never said out loud. Stories about school, questions about the future, drawings of a house with two figures standing side by side. One taller, one smaller. Under one drawing, he had written, "This is what safe looks like." I cried quietly at the table, realizing how much he had been holding in. From that day on, I stopped treating our life like a temporary arrangement. I started showing up in ways that mattered. I attended every school event, helped with science projects, sat beside him during thunderstorms, listened when he talked about his worries, his dreams, his confusion about the world. Ethan began to change too. He laughed more, talked more, took up space without apologizing for it. One evening, months later, as we sat on the porch watching fireflies, he spoke again. "Do you think," he said slowly, "that people choose each other?" "I think sometimes they do," I answered. "And sometimes they just find each other." He nodded thoughtfully. "I'm glad I found you." That was the moment I understood something important. Love isn't always loud. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet request, spoken by someone brave enough to hope again. That simple request didn't just change Ethan's life. It changed mine.